Hello, and today I'm delighted to be with J.R. Willett, the father of the ICO. We'll explain in a moment, but J.R., thank you for agreeing to this chat today, and welcome.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so before we kind of get into where we are right now and Bitcoin and ICOs and how the two join and where we go next, would you just tell me a little bit about your background, please?
Sure. I am a software developer by trade. I first got into Bitcoin in 2010. At that time, I was researching payment methods. I was interested in chargebacks, and as soon as I saw Bitcoin, I had been dabbling in penny stocks, and I recognized the potential for a speculative bubble and got very excited, not only about what Bitcoin could do, but also the psychological component of the insanity that could come about. And I think, if anything, I underestimated the insanity that could come about. So I was really excited about it. I told my wife all about it. Actually, I told everybody about it that would listen to me until people got tired of hearing about it. At that time, I had two children and one on the way, and my wife was not real interested in me dabbling in magic internet money. So we actually had an ongoing discussion about this for months. And finally she got so tired of it. My birthday came around, and Christmas is around the time of my birthday, and she said, here's $200. You can flush it down the toilet if you want to. And so I ended up investing that in what I would call a mining scheme. I got other people to run the Bitcoin mining software on my behalf. I paid them to do that, kids all over the country. I recruited them on Craigslist. And in fact, they did not know they were running the Bitcoin mining software. I had disguised it. So I did some Bitcoin mining throughout 2011. And then I got very interested in where Bitcoin would be going next. And I wanted to be involved with that. And that project that I started ended up being the project that did the first token sale, or what today they call the initial coin offering.
Yeah, and you kind of talked about the craziness that you saw, like it was a good thing. I mean, tell me about that.
Okay, so it's a good thing in the opportunities, right? I mean, anytime people are behaving strangely, there are opportunities. And there were then. I remember people lamenting on the Bitcoin forum that the price had gone from under a penny to 25 cents. And this was clearly a speculative bubble. This was clearly going to end in tears. How could anything go up 25-fold in such a short amount of time? And I remember looking at that and thinking, this could go so much higher. I started doing things like making little graphs, right? Little bubble graphs of all the money in the world. And how big is the bubble for Bitcoin compared to all the money in the world? And it turns out it's infinitesimally small. At least it was in 2010. It was only worth a few $1 million. And there's trillions of dollars moving around every day in all these financial markets. And I started thinking, wow, if we started building tools that would attract those trillions of dollars into cryptocurrency, and that was what really got me excited. If we can build those tools, there's really no upper bound. I mean, eventually, the upper bound is all the money in the world, right? Where all the money in the world just sort of gets sucked into cryptocurrency like a black hole. Yeah. And of course, that has societal implications, upheaval, all sorts of terrible things could happen. But that potential was what attracted me to it.
Yeah, and of course, now I think today we were about $6,300 for a Bitcoin, so it's got an awful long way since. But to kind of go back to then, so you I think produced a white paper, which was a very early white paper.
Yes. 2012. I actually very early in 2012. Published a white paper about how I thought we could build a protocol layer on top of Bitcoin. Yeah. I didn't think of Bitcoin as money or as payment system. I thought of it as a structure that I could build on, and I could build new features on top of it. And that comes from kind of a computer science mindset of seeing protocols as layering on top of each other. And we do that all the time and we don't even think about it. You know, your Ethernet card, Ethernet is a protocol. And on top of that, right, we run TCP/IP, the protocol of the internet. And on top of that, we run HTTP, the protocol of the web, and they stack on top of each other. Yeah. So I wanted to stack a protocol on top of Bitcoin, and I didn't really have any way to pay for it. And so I didn't really think of it as all that revolutionary to just say, hey, here's a Bitcoin address, here's my white paper, you guys can send me some money if you think what I'm doing is interesting. But that is literally what people do all the time now, and billions of dollars are being raised with that exact idea. So it turns out to be that the thing I tend to be most famous for is not the smart contracts and the things that I was so excited about. It tends to be people say, oh, he did the first initial coin offering.
Yeah.
And it looks like our connection just went unstable. Sorry. Did my audio come through there? Do you need me to say it again?
No, let's carry on.
Sure.
This is fascinating. So not only doing the first coin offering, which actually took you a while to talk yourself into that, I believe.
Yeah.
Actually came up with the idea.
I wanted someone else to do it. I was hoping someone else would do it. That's why I didn't do it right away. You know, from 2012, when I published that white paper, people talked about it, but nobody did it. And I was literally saying things like, will someone please do this so I can send you my Bitcoins? I want to be a passive, I want an investor. I just want to see, you know, what happens with this. I don't want to do it myself. I didn't want to be in charge of all the money. I didn't want to, you know, hire people. And, you know, I felt my skills were more as a coder than as a entrepreneur. And finally, I just got tired of waiting. Nobody was doing it. I went to a conference in San Jose in 2013, and I talked about this. People seemed really excited about it. And I thought, you know, maybe I should just do it.
Yeah. And
so that was the launch of what was then called Mastercoin. Today it's called Omni. And Omni was successful. It is successful. There's over $500 million worth of coins that run on Omni as the protocol now. I'm very proud of the team that built that. You know, we did end up hiring people, and we did end up building the protocol that I hoped we would build. And there's a lot more I would like to build, but you know, what we built is very useful, and people use it. So I'm very proud of the team that did that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, though, that just keeping, you know, at that moment early on, or that time early on, the idea of running an ICO wasn't entirely obvious. In fact, it was probably non-obvious. And that sequence of, I have this idea that I think could help people and change the world. You know, I wonder if I could get other people on board with me. Maybe I ought to do something about it. It is, in essence, at the heart of crowdfunding as well. But I don't think you got it from there by the sounds of it. Maybe it was in the ether. I don't know.
Well, it was partly. I mean, you know, I was aware of things like Kickstarter, you know, and I sort of knew that there were people that were having an idea and getting other people to pay for it without going to venture capitalists, and without you know, going through all the work of doing, you know, a securities offering. You know, I knew there were people that had found ways to do that. And so I was sort of aware that there were workarounds for this sort of like, I need to raise some money to build a thing. And, you know, and a lot of the ways to raise money are really onerous. So that was my model that I started from mentally. And I didn't really think of it as all that different from a Kickstarter. However, as soon as I published it, people were saying things to me like, you're going to go to jail. You just released a security. And in fact, people told me that they had informed the SEC. I don't know, maybe the SEC has a web form that you can tattle on people or something. But you know, I was literally getting messages like, I informed the SEC about your illegal securities offering, and I'll see you in jail. And that really concerned me, you know, because I have children. I didn't want to be dragged off in the middle of the night by the SEC SWAT van. So, you know, that was concerning. And I don't think if I had spoke to a lawyer, I don't think any lawyer, given that it had never been done before, lawyers don't like things that have never been done before. With that in mind, I don't think I could have found a single lawyer in the world who would have approved it, you know, and said, yeah, go ahead and do that. So it was really just naivete and a little bit of foolhardiness that meant that I was the first one to ever do it. Although now there are lawyers who devote their entire careers, and law firms have whole departments dealing with this now.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course now they will tell you, the different ways that you can hopefully not be a security, and in fact be a utility token is a lot of times what they refer to it as now.
Well, as far as I can tell, and I'm pretty sure about this, you appear to have invented crowdfunding 2.0, which is an order of magnitude, or maybe two, up there. And you probably don't know too much about our struggles in the UK to get regulatory sanity around equity crowdfunding and so on. And we've made a little progress, and we've got a lot more to make. But it crosses so many boundaries. So I'm very excited about the future. Would you talk to us a little bit about where we are now and the future?
Oh yeah. So I tend to be a little bit of a pessimist. If you look at the world of cryptocurrency, you will find a lot of raging optimists, people that think that the world is going to be this beautiful utopia. And I think it will be wonderful for a lot of people that happen to be interested in cryptocurrency or happen to have got into it early. I think a lot of people will be hurt by the rise of cryptocurrency. And it's not that cryptocurrency is bad. I think it's that the disruption to fiat currency will cause people a lot of problems. And now I tend to be one of those people that kind of sees it as a either or. Either cryptocurrencies take off and eventually are recognized as superior to fiat currencies and replace them, or they fade out. I don't really see an in-between of those two alternatives. And that means if cryptocurrencies take over, then a lot of people that are slow to adopt could be harmed by that. And there's not a really good reason to a good way to avoid that I know of, other than hopefully human kindness among all of us. And I hope there will be some of that. So that's my view of blockchain in general. It tends to be optimistic about that blockchain will succeed, and pessimistic about the pain and suffering that will come about from that. Now, for initial coin offerings in general, I think there will continue to be regulatory hurdles. The best we can hope for is a sort of laissez-faire, only going after the most flagrant frauds. That would be, I think, the best outcome. The worst case outcome would be something along the lines of a crackdown. We've seen that some countries take a very antagonistic approach to initial coin offerings, and I hope that will not spread to other countries, because their concerns are very valid, right? There are a ton of scams out there. But you can lose your money in a lot of ways. You could go to a casino to lose your money. At least with something like a token sale, if you do your homework, you maybe have a chance that's better than, that's obviously always against you odds at a casino. So, it's an exciting world, and some really good projects got funded that way. Now that, Ethereum and Omni, the one that I started, are good examples of that. And it would be very sad to see the next, great idea like that not be able to reach the world, to let the world participate in it, just because of these concerns over these scams.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we've advocated in the UK, and as you know, we've got what is generally accepted to be quite a good regime as a result, is the recognition of the traceability and the transparency of identity involved, and that has demonstrably a huge impact on the type and need for regulation. Is that something that you see too?
I got to be careful what I say about that, because one of the fundamental things that attracted me to cryptocurrency was the potential for anonymity. Now, in practice, that doesn't often. It's to some degree it is anonymous. With Bitcoin in particular, there's as you say, it's very public. You can trace the money from point A to point B. However, someone who's intent on anonymity can be anonymous usually if they know what they're doing.
Sorry,
and
to
there aren't.
be specific, I was thinking in particular about campaigns and ICOs.
Oh yes, yes.
Them.
And now I think the market has definitely moved away from anonymous ICOs as far as like who's running them being anonymous. I don't see a lot of those anymore, and it's good. You know what? I think what we're seeing is the market is demanding a degree of transparency, and nobody's out there with a law saying, "Hey, I'm going to prosecute anybody who does an anonymous ICO." The reason that they're not being anonymous is because if you're anonymous, you don't raise any money. Yeah. So that's a good example of sort of the market correcting itself. And I hope we'll see more things like that, more of this sort of self-policing, and because the more the government feels like they have to regulate this, the less useful it will be.
Yeah. Great. We're coming to the end of our time slot for this conference, and I'm sorry about that. Is there one more thing you'd like to say to people who are thinking of running an ICO or otherwise?
I guess if I've only got one more thing to say, I would say I'm really excited right now about ATMs, about bringing crypto to the masses, people that those people that I talked about earlier that could be harmed by the decline of fiat currency. And I think ATMs are a great way to reach those people. And so I started UpToken is what I'm currently working on. And UpToken it's a token sale going on now. It's actually the first token sale I've been involved with since that first one years and years ago, because there's not a lot of things that I get excited about. It has to be really fundamental and at a level of what I call shovels in a gold rush. And I think of crypto ATMs as those shovels, which if I'm selling shovels, the analogy is I don't care which hill the gold is in, right? And so I don't care which cryptocurrency takes off. I want to be involved with a project that succeeds regardless. And UpToken for me is that project. So if your listeners are interested in what I'm doing currently, uptoken.org is my current passion.
Great. And I'd like to talk to you some more about that after this interview and over the next week or two. So, but again, thank you for making time for this, particularly at short notice today, JR. And thank you again for your work in creating ICOs in the first place.
All right. It's nice talking to you.
You too.